You went and found, I can't remember, you'll be able to tell me what the roads are called, but basically like roads that are on sides of cliffs.
Oh, balconette roads.
Car. There you go.
Yeah. The weird one with that was I've been down there in a Lambo and found these amazing roads, but they're only about 7 feet wide. But I had a 6.5 foot wide Lamborghini and I was like, these are amazing, but you can't get two cars side by side. So if you're driving, they absolutely shred your nerves if you're in a big car. So I thought, well, what would be a good feature would be taking something tiny and going and investigating all those roads that you can't get down in a supercar. Because to be honest, they're not driving roads. They're too narrow, but the views are steal your breath kind of good. Yeah. So I went and got a Kia Picanto, which was the smallest car I could find. And I was having a bit of an obsess over we're losing all of our small cars. You know, little, simple hatchbacks. The Ford Puma's now their smallest car. The Fiesta's gone. And obviously I put a roof box on it because it was too small, which looked, I found the world's smallest roof box. It's only about 2 feet long. Nice. Whacked that on it, drove all the way down there, drove all the way down through France on the balconette roads and had a wicked time. Got it on 2 wheels. Shouldn't have put my bags in the roof box.
Did that make it much easier to get on 2 wheels?
Yeah, there was a little bit of kind of drive very fast, lift, turn. But the photographer was going, I don't think you should do that again, Wookie, because it's looking fairly unstable. I was like, no, we're going to get this shot. Because I could feel it lifting the wheel. Yeah. And then I thought, I can get both off the floor. And that's that hold my beer moment. You're like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, we got the shot. Right, we're moving on. But that was one of my obsessions. And it still is, like going and having adventures in not crap cars, but just normal cars. Like, it's wicked. You can go out and do a road trip in a Ford Fiesta as well as you can. I mean, motoring journalism, you get given all the cool stuff. But it's often a bit more hassle than it is sexy.
Yeah, because presumably, well, you have been given lots of very nice cars over time to go and drive in lots of cool places.
Oh, God, yeah.
And the difference... What's the difference between someone, because I think a lot of people sum up what's your perfect road trip and they go, oh, it's going to be in a McLaren F1 GTR driving in the Dolomites or something or whatever, like, you know, let's say that. Reality of the two different things, like doing it in the Kia Picanto versus doing it in an Aventador or whatever. What's the difference? And like, what's your perception of the difference?
It depends whether you're driving or you're road tripping.
Okay.
So if you're going to drive, you want to take something that when you get to those amazing roads, it satisfies the need you have of having a good drive.
Yeah.
If you're road tripping, it literally doesn't matter what you're in. It's about the people you're with. It's about the things you do. It's about the stopping, not the going. It's about the experience of it. So you can road trip in America in a land yacht, in something that doesn't, that's got, lazy boy seats. And I've really enjoyed conversations I've had on the road, because if you've got, 2 days of driving with somebody, you get to know them pretty well, pretty quickly as well. And you're not looking each other in the eye. So there's not that pressure of kind of staring down someone's barrel. So you just chat, and that's wicked. But if you're going driving, I really think it's frustrating as hell to drive a long way and get somewhere good and be in a car that doesn't handle.
Yeah.
Because you get there and go, this would be great if I was in an X. But equally, if you take something super extreme, I mean, I've taken some really extreme cars places, and I drove an Ariel Atom to the Arctic, for instance.
Nice.
And it was lonely.
Bold.
Yeah, it's bold. It was really effing cold as well. But it was lonely, really lonely, because it was hours and hours and hours of trawl for no chat, there's nobody there. And it just took a long time with spectacular scenery, but I was so cold and exposed and all that kind of, amazing thing to do. But if you can be as appropriate as possible, but we've got access to some of the best roads in the world, 3 or 4 hours away. 6 hours if you're driving up to Scotland, and you can make a road trip out of anything, really. I just don't think you have to put pressure on yourself to have a super cool car all the time. I think you can have fun in whatever you do it in. I love those. What are those rallies? Those rallies that they like buy a car for $2,000 and drive to Romania.
Mongol rally? Is that one of them?
Stuff like that. I met some guys on one of them. I was in a Lambo or something. They were in like a K1 Micra.
Yeah.
They were having the time of their life.
Yes.
And we were on the Transfagasiran. You know,
right.
mad road in Romania? They were down there. They were absolutely loving it. And I was in something super, super flash, and I kind of wished I was with them.
Yeah.
Picking up stray dogs.
It is. There is something about it. And it's, as you say, often it's the stopping.
Yeah.
And I find nowadays, I often don't leave. I don't leave enough time. If someone's, let's say someone's lent me a car, I get to drive like some interesting stuff every now and then, and someone's lent me a car, but I don't have it for very long. And in my head, I'm like, you kind of want to stop and like take some photos and do
That's
whatever.
2024 though. That's our lives. What's your favourite one you've done? What one sticks in your brain that makes you go, I really enjoyed that? Because sometimes you need a bit of time to get the perspective, don't you?
Yeah. Hands down, it would be, I've done a few trips with a couple of crazy mates to northern Sweden, Norway, winter, but in summer cars. And by summer cars, I mean like sports cars. But we had a full mix of, I think I did it 3 times. Once at that point in time, I had a backdated SC that I just put on normal winters. And we had a selection of other stuff. Most of it was on studs. The Swedish guys were all like, one guy I think he had an RS6 and he had some like crazy ice tires that had, it was like 600 studs a tire or something like completely bonkers. And he was just driving around like he was on fresh hot slicks everywhere.
That's the problem with people up there. But also, you'll get those studs torn out. If you end up doing loads of tarmac, it pulls all the studs out.
Yeah.
Then you can beat them.
Yeah. But that was the most fun of doing it in like, we hired some, it was ridiculous. We hired some ice lakes. So we did a few days on ice lakes. We brought the cars. And we did all this stuff, but we had a full mix of cars. I think one guy had a little A1 Quattro that someone had lent him.
Oh, they're great.
That was awesome because it had a handbrake, and lots of the cars didn't have handbrakes, and it was forward drive and whatnot. But just driving those back roads, that was just nothing I've done is touch that from a driving, and also ridiculous. You're there going, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, this is cool,
and I might die, but it's ridiculous.